Hey, hey, hey. It's Rebecca Simon Peter with Leadership Mojo. So glad you folks are here today. Here's our topic for today. What about mental health? What about mental health? I think it's such an important topic to talk about because as I've been thinking about filling the pews and what does it take to have a church be alive and vibrant, we can't ignore the many, many experiences that people are having around this pandemic. Mental health is an issue I hear from a lot of church leaders, lay people, pastors, district superintendents. Now, they're talking about their mental health issues as well as the mental health issues that they're having to deal with in the local congregation. So I just wanted to show up today and talk with you about mental health. And thanks so much for joining us. It's really good to have you here today. I had an experience recently that one of the people I trust the most, who's been a coach for me for many, many years, recently got in touch with me and said, "Hey, I'm so sorry I can't meet. I'm just having mental health issues." Now, I'm not sure that it was exactly related to the pandemic, but I think it's been exacerbated by it. And I thought, wow, that person, mental health issues really can impact anybody. So I thought, let me just go to Google and see what people are asking about on the internet right now about mental health. So here's the first thing that I've noticed. How did COVID-19 affect mental health in the US? Here's the answer. Younger adults, racial ethnic minorities, essential workers, and unpaid adult caregivers reported having experienced disproportionately worse mental health outcomes, increased substance abuse, and elevated suicidal ideation. Let's break it down. Disproportionately worse mental health outcomes. These folks are not doing well, okay? All the stress was on them. Now, this is last year, but it doesn't mean it's not continuing. Younger adults, why? College shut down, high school shut down, no place to go. People who thrive on friends and relationships and building their lives and their careers, their common places to go and connect and hang out and get jobs, all shut down. Racial ethnic minorities. Remember last summer? Remember how tough a year it was? That stuff continues on. Ethnic hate, white privilege, white nationalism. I mean, all that stuff still goes on. And maybe it's under the covers right now, maybe it's hidden a little bit, but racial ethnic minorities are dealing with the glance, the grimace, the Passover, the the unjust responses day in and day out. I'm not saying that's everybody, but that's a lot of people's experiences. That's still happening. And when there are less resources to go around, when people are in the space of hoarding or, let me get mine in case I don't get mine, let me get mine. A lot of times people get edged out. Essential workers, those are the people that got up and went to work every single day and worked harder. Now, you know what I'm noticing? I went to a restaurant the other day and there was a chalkboard out front and it said, many people are not showing up to work. Be kind to the ones that did. Okay. This was the people staffing the tables and wanting to make sure that you understood they're working really stressful hours and stressful situations. So, essential workers, unpaid adult caregivers. My dad's one of those people right now, sort of locked in the house. Not that my mom's a meanie or anything like that, but it's just that, geez, where are all the resources going to come from? Where is the support when everything is sort of in a space of caution, overly protective, wanting to make sure COVID exposure doesn't happen? So these people had disproportionately worse mental health outcomes, increased substance abuse. They're drinking more, they're drugging more, maybe it's online pornography, maybe it's online gambling, and elevated suicidal ideation. They thought about ending it. They thought it's not worth it. They thought it's never going to get better. They thought, why bother? They thought this is the end. Okay? Mental health outcomes. And a lot of mental health services got cut or shut down or cut back, not only in the United States, but around the world, at the same time that the request for mental health care is increasing. So, what does this have to do with the church? A lot. One of the biggest gifts and contributions that the church has to offer is people, community, faith, belonging, hope, listening ear, structure, structure, small groups, worship, online prayer, mission, ministry, outreach, prayer chains. We've got so much of what the world needs. You've got so much of what the world needs. I recently read an article on the power of belonging. It's called Missing Your People: Why Belonging is So Important and How to Create It. Now, this is related to the work environment, but I thought, man, this sure fits for the church because it says to truly feel a sense of belonging, you must feel unity and a common sense of character with and among members of your group. So to truly feel a sense of belonging, you have to feel unity, like you're a part of, like we're in this thing together, and then a common sense of character with and among members of your group. In other words, what's your tribe? Who are you? What do you stand for? It's amazing how powerful it is to really belong to something that's identifiable. Why do you think people at work wear uniforms? Part of the tribe. May not fit exactly right, may not be your best color, but it indicates belonging. Now, how can you bring that kind of quality to your congregation? I'm immediately thinking of the old t-shirts, I survived the flood of, 1959. Maybe they didn't do t-shirts then, but I survived the pandemic, or here's who we are. Creating some sort of visual about who and what you belong to and the character that you possess with and among the group members is really, really powerful. May sound cheesy, but there's something really powerful to having that sort of identifier with your group so that other people can relate to it. All right. Another study that was published found that belonging was more than just about having friends. I think that's really important. Sometimes you think, well, you got friends, or let's have friends, or let's make sure people have friends, then we belong. But belonging actually goes much deeper than that. Now, group membership is important and it contributes to self esteem, according to this article. But a large group of friends doesn't predict self esteem in the same way that belonging to multiple groups does. So you may think, well, so and so is cared for because they're part of this group. But what if people were able to be part of more than one group? Like they've got a family group they're a part of, and they've got a church group. And within the church group, they're not only part of the um, prayer team, but they're part of the Bible study team. Or maybe they're part of the people that help the live stream work. You may think, gosh, I can't ask people to do more than one thing. I can't wear them out. It's too much stress. I want to encourage you not to project the stress or the overwhelm that you may be feeling onto other people who actually have a deep need and desire to belong because they're part of something. There's a shared quality and character among and with the people, the members of that group. Your church, your ministry has the beautiful capacity to provide that. So I want to encourage you to invite people to do more than one thing. While it may not solve current mental health problems, it can be a barrier against future mental health problems. People need to belong. We're social animals. We are spiritual beings. We need to belong. And not just to one thing, but to more than one thing. And it turns out that this fundamental need to be needed and to need other people is hardwired into our brains. So being social, being spiritual, and being needed and needing other people is hardwired into our brains. The same region of the brain that goes off when you're craving food goes off when you're craving people and people connections. So in this leadership mojo, what I really want to leave you with is this notion that you as church, you as faith community, you as spiritual congregation have so much of what people are looking for. Don't downplay that. Don't dismiss that. Understand the power of what it is you have to offer so that people can find respite, comfort, and help in the middle of mental health crises, mental health needs, mental health hygiene, belonging to more than one group, having an identifier of the group that you belong to, and simply having people to call friends where there's common cause and common purpose. There's so much about the pandemic that's really hard for us. But one thing that doesn't have to be hard is belonging. When you have options that are online as well as in person, you give people the opportunity to show up in more than one way. And sometimes maybe they'll show up online, other times maybe they'll be there in person. But that hybrid option is extremely important. When you create small groups that bring together the social and the spiritual, you give people easy ways to belong, easy ways to dive into the social if they're more spiritually minded, and easy ways to dive into the spiritual if they are more socially minded. And when you create small groups like this that are hybrid, you give people the option of coming together in a variety of ways and then moving together into the future in a variety of ways, ways of belonging. I know if it wasn't for the groups that I belong to, family groups, church groups, recovery oriented groups, I don't know how I would have made it through the pandemic. Work groups, give people ways to belong and know that you're living into the promise of the beloved community and providing that promise for others. It's been great to be with you today to talk about mental health. Please reach out to us if there's anything we can do to support you as you create small groups, as you create ministries, as you create visions and ideas to bring the sense of beloved community to the world. The website is there, RebeccaSimonPeter.com, www.RebeccaSimonPeter.com. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. And thank you so much for being part of Leadership Mojo. Talk to you next time.